You can go through, you can understand, no issue. Achha, yes. Now take a different problem. I'll also, for your exam, I'll also suggest you to go through the solved example, because many examples in the book by Mehta which is solved, and it is correct to the uh, what I felt, whatever I have gone through, and many interesting problems have been solved in that book. And usually, generally, the easier sums are left for your solution, and the critical ones are solved. So I'll urge you to go through that solution, try to solve on your own, and verify from the book whether you are doing it correctly or not. In the book of Thereja also many problems are solved, but not problems are rightly solved. So there may be mistake, but anyway, you can follow that book as well. Others also, there is one more book by Hughes, but in the book of Hughes there is not much problem which you will find. Therefore, it will be better if you follow one of these book. Out of these two, Mehta will be better as per my understanding. Okay, so let us take this problem. Here it is asked to find out the equivalent VTH and RTH, just like the way it is shown here. So you can see that it is an open circuit anyway. So
So what is the E1?
Sorry, repeat.
What is the value of the E1?
E1 is 100. Okay, it's not. It is 100 volt. E1 is 100 volt. E2 is equal to 50 volt. This is 20 ohm resistor, 30 ohm resistor, 10 ohm resistor. Okay. So to find out VTH, what you will do here? Which method will be easier? One is to like if you see from here, it can be well understood. If it is an open circuit, then only there will be one loop current. This is the loop current which will be flowing through this loop. Otherwise, through this branch, there should not, there will be a circulating current like this, but there should not be any current through this path, right? Because if a current has to flow through this branch, then this path has to be closed with some resistance or something, which is not there, right? So only one loop current will be present here. Let us assume that this is IL. So what will be your IL then? IL is equal to, this is 50 and total effective resistance is 20, 30. So if I write loop equation, it will be E2 minus IL into 20 minus IL into 30. So we can write 20 plus 30, and in that way we can find out this is equal to 1 ampere. So this is your circulating current. Then what is the drop across this path? Here this is, if you look like this, here if you go through, this is minus plus, here again it is minus plus 50, and then this resistance, it will be counteracting because of this drop, so it will got reduced, right? So 50 will now become 50 minus 1 into 20, which is equal to 30 volt effective drop. So if you can find out this V is equal to 30 volt, and polarity will be minus plus. And like this is across this resistance, this is plus, sorry,
So
this
can you
is
repeat
plus.
this? Can you repeat this step? I could
Sure.
understand it.
So we have to
GPU
find
is
out this
lagging
drop
for
V,
me.
right? So let us focus on this particular loop through which this circulating current is flowing. So this is your E2 minus plus, this is your E2. There is a drop across here. Here also there is a drop like this. This is your loop current IL. this is your 10 ohm resistor, but no current is flowing through it, so there I equal to 0, and this is your E1. So if the drop across this branch resistance, like if this is V, no, then what will be your effective VTH? It will be this E1. The polarity, look at the polarity, minus plus, and then here also minus plus. So we can write as E1 plus V. Agree? This is your VTH here, because through this resistance no current is flowing, means there should not be any drop. So you are getting E1 here, and then at this path what is your drop, what is the voltage drop? If no resistance is there, means it is E2 only, E1 plus E2. But because of this loop current, there will be drop across this resistor, or there will be drop across this 20 ohm resistors. Then what is the effective voltage across these two parallel paths? Let it be V, that I have assumed. So that polarity remains in an assistive way. So it is assisting E1, therefore E1 plus V. Now what is our V? E1 is equal to 100. What is this V? IL is 1 ampere, right? That we have solved. If we write the loop equation, it is E2 minus 20 into IL minus 30 into IL, that is equal to 0. That means IL equal to 1, and then V equal to 30 into 1, or 50 minus 20 into 1. So you get V equal to 30 volt. So that is what we should write here. This is the magnitude. So total VTH equal to 130 volt. If there was no resistance present in this path, and if this is open circuit, then we will get VTH equal to 150. But now, because of the presence of this circulating internal current, we are getting a uh, drop of 20 volt here because of this path. So 50 minus 20 will give you 30 volt. Okay, so VTH equal to 130, and what is your RTH? That is very simple. It is 10 plus 20 parallel 30. So 10,
22.
so it is 22. So that is the effective VTH for this circuit. Okay. So let us take one more problem. Let's take a problem with dependent source. So we can see that this is a dependent source which is a function of 2I, and this is your branch current I, and we name it. Just by looking at the polarity you can understand this is a dependent voltage source. So Vx equal to 2I, in that way it is given, and you have to Theveninize this circuit. This is A, this is B. Okay, so as I told that whenever we have to find out the Thevenin equivalent for a circuit with dependent sources, we don't know the internal resistance of this dependent source. Therefore, we have to find out the short circuit current across the terminal, and then open circuit voltage by short circuit current will give you the internal resistance, right? So what is our first task? First task is to find out the VAB, which is your VTH. This is your VTH, which is equal to VAB. So for that, we have to write the loop equation. There is a loop. So we can write 6 minus 3 into, this is I current, because that is the branch current is shown, I. So 6 into minus 3I. Then look at the polarity, it is assistive. So Vx minus 2 into I again equal to 0. So in place of Vx, we can again write what? Plus 2I, because that is the value of Vx minus 2I equal to 0. So this gives I equal to 2 ampere. So when you know I equal to 2 ampere, then what is your VTH? VTH will be equal to 2 into I here, because this is the voltage drop across this 2 ohm resistor. So 2 into 2 volt, 4 volt, that is your VTH. Now next task is to find out the short circuit current. So if we do that, note this is 3 ohm, this is your Vx, which is equal to 2I.
Sir, 4 volt is the Vx.
But here at this point, what is the drop across VA and B? I into 2I, na?
Okay.
Polarity like this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now A and B, we short it. So when we short A and B, this is your I current. When we short it, then what do you think? Will there be any current through this path? This 2 ohm resistor?
No, sir. Input.
No
No,
current
sir.
is there. If
Short
no
circuit.
current is flowing through it, then
No,
I
sir.
will be 0, right? If that is the case, then what will be your Vx? Vx will be equal to 0. That means there won't be any contribution from this dependent voltage source, isn't it? Then what will be your ISC? It will be simply 6 by 3 equal to 2 ampere, isn't it? So I hope you can understand. So it will be simply like this: 6 volt, 3. This will be a short circuit now because it is not present. It's 2 ohm. There is a short circuit. So effectively, the current will be flowing through this path. This will be ignored. So you get 6 by 3 equal to 2 ampere. So you got VTH, you got ISC. So what will be your internal resistance? RTH, VTH by ISC. So 4 by 2 is equal to 2 ohm. So this is your equivalent circuit. Okay, Thevenin equivalent for that problem. So whenever these things happen, say you will find in some cases with dependent sources that particular branch voltage may turn out to be 0 when it is a voltage dependent or voltage current source. The particular branch current may turn out to be 0. So accordingly, your source may be inoperative in that case. Okay. So that you have to take care. Achha. Let us take one more problem which we'll solve using Norton. This is 4.5. We are told that we have to find out the current through this 20 ohm resistor using Norton theorem. What is your I20? That is the question. Okay. So what is our first task? We have to short these two terminal, right? When we have to find out the Norton current. So we'll short these two. This is our IN. So 20 won't be through 20, no current will be flowing now. We can just remove it, forget about it. So now let us do the node analysis for this 2 branch voltage, where we can write down for the ease of analysis. I am writing like this V2, and then we'll set V2 equal to 0 because V2 actually shorted to the ground, so V2 drop will be equal to 0. Okay, now let us write the KCL for the node 1. So we take it like this, the direction of the current. So 4.5 minus V1 divided by 15 is equal to V1 minus 3 divided by 8, then V1 minus V2 divided by 6 ohm, where you can write V2 equal to 0 later. So this is one equation. The next equation is V1 minus V2 divided by 6 equal to V2 minus 3 divided by 9 plus IN, right? Through this path no current will be flowing, means here also it is IN. So now again you can write V2 equal to 0, and same for here, V2 equal to 0. So you get the relation, direct relation between V1, it is V1 by 6 plus 1/3 is equal to your IN. This is one equation, and here you will find it as 4.5 minus V1 by 15, V1 by 3, 8, it is V1 by 6. So ultimately if you take V1 through this side, it is V1 by 15, V1 by 8, V1 by 6 is equal to, it is here it is 0.3, it's 3 by 8. So if you solve it, it turns out to be 3.5833 something. I have made some approximation, so you can find a different value. It turns out to be approximately 1.88372 volt. So this is your V1. So once you know V1, then your IN will be equal to, if you substitute this value, it will turn out to be 64728 ampere. So if that is your IN, you found your IN, and the next task is to find out the internal resistance. So what will be your internal resistance? All these voltage sources will be shorted, so it is 10, 5, then 8 ohm, this is 9 ohm, this is your terminal, right? So you get 8 inverse, 9 inverse, then 15 inverse, isn't it? Inverse of that, that is your R equivalent, and that is equal to Rn. And if you solve it, your Rn, I don't know whether I have calculated it. It turns out to be approximately 5 ohm, approximately. So then you found your Rn, means your I20 will be IN Rn plus 20. So it turns out to be 2.58. Sorry, it is 0.13 ampere, and drop across this V20 will be equal to 2.589 volt. Okay, maybe the question was find out V20 as well.
That 6 ohm resistance, it is not shown.
Oh, okay, it was there. Then that should be taken care of. I have calculated, I have done it, so it's my mistake actually. Then what will be there? It is 15 parallel 8, that is the effective, and then that to be added with 6, and that is again in parallel with 9. So if you solve it, it will turn out to be 5 ohm. Okay. So please do this calculation on your own and verify. You can also verify using Thevenin theorem. Okay, and you can do it with superposition theorem. So the same problem may be given like this problem you find out the drop across 20 ohm resistor and current through it using Thevenin theorem, and then verify with superposition theorem. Okay, so I hope we have solved many problems. You keep on solving mostly the solved example from that book, and after that, once you are through, then you start the tutorial, solving the tutorial problem which are left as the exercise. That will help you to gain confidence on this subject. And with this, we can conclude the network theorem. And the next